Thank you, Minister.
Before the Minister leaves the House this morning, in this House, the Cathaoirleach ruled and accepted an adjournment on the sewage treatment plant planned for North Dublin to this Minister, the Minister for Public Expenditure, who gave a commitment to this House, over a year ago to investigate it. There has been
Senator,
for the last... No, I'm sorry.
This is not appropriate at the moment.
The Cathaoirleach ruled on this issue this morning. I'm being entirely reasonable here. Over the last 2 days, I've had a succession of phone calls to my office from the Minister's Department trying to kick this over to the Department of the Environment.
I have to move to the House.
I have refused to accept that because the adjournment debate relates
Could I just ask the Leader of the House to move the adjournment?
It's an absolute disgrace that the Minister has been sitting there in that chair. The Minister has been sitting there in that chair for the last hour, and the minute the adjournment debate picked up, he would leave the House. I want to start by saying that while I welcome Minister Hogan to the House to debate this issue, it is an issue that's under the purvey of the Department of Environment in terms of purse strings. You're going to be funding this project for this proposal for a massive sewage treatment plant in North Dublin. I want to put it on the record of the House that this adjournment was tabled to the Minister for Public Expenditure, Minister Brendan Howlin, who gave a commitment in that capacity to the Seanad in November 2011 that he would ensure that this project was evaluated from a cost-benefit point of view, which is his brief as Minister for Public Expenditure. He gave a specific commitment to the House. My colleague Darragh O'Brien had raised the issue with him in the context of a number of financial projects, again his brief as Minister for Public Expenditure, and Minister Howlin responded and said that the Fianna Fáil spokesperson had made a number of constructive points about the proposal, and he also gave an express undertaking to have the matter investigated. He said, and I quote, "There's a propensity for engineers to have big schemes. They prefer to build reservoirs rather than fix leaks. There's nothing sexy about fixing a hole, but construction of a multi-million-euro dam and piping water for miles is a big event. I prefer to fix holes." So I think you can see from that the healthy and actually welcome level of scepticism that the Minister for Public Expenditure expressed in this House about the proposal to build a massive sewage treatment plant in North Dublin. He also gave an express undertaking to ensure that it was investigated, to make sure, as all of us would expect, that the sums add up, that the project is actually appropriate, that when you're spending public money of this order, at a minimum, the project cost that was published yesterday was almost 500 million. The extent of those figures in terms of the chart that was published was half a page, explaining where the 500 million comes from. There's a half a page chart that only costs the cost of the pipes, utilities and land acquisition, doesn't take into account the kind of factors that are supposed to be considered, like traffic disruption, broader economic cost. The government's own guidelines in relation to cost-benefit analysis make it very clear that broader social cost has to be taken into account, that every proposal, and I quote, should be evaluated from the perspective of society, replacing all of the costs and benefits, all of them, on a comparative monetary scale. Instead, we had this fiasco yesterday where a multi-million-euro project, at least, as I said, 500 million euro project, has been decided on, a location has been chosen, and distinctions have been made between alternative sites on the basis of this, of half a page. So, Minister, I welcome the fact that you're here. I'm happy to debate the issue with you. I raised a previous debate a number of months ago with the Department of the Environment, and Minister Cannon attended on your behalf on that day. But I do want to reiterate that I think it's an absolute disgrace that the Minister for Public Expenditure was sitting in your chair until 10 minutes ago, was in this House on legislation for an hour, and that instead of actually staying in the House and responding in relation to specific commitments that he gave to this House last year, that he chose instead to leave the chamber. All I can take from that is that he does not stand over this project, he's not comfortable to answer any questions on it, and it does not stand up. That's a very clear message that I have taken today from the fact that your colleague just walked out that door instead of sitting there and counting for the decision that has been made yesterday.
Thank you, Senator. Minister.
Cathaoirleach, I'm taking this matter, Senator Power, in view of the fact that I'm the relevant line minister for this area, water and wastewater treatment. And the subject matter that you raised in the Seanad today is the Greater Dublin Drainage Project, which is a critical wastewater project which will facilitate employment and economic growth in the wider Dublin region, and essential for that purpose in the future. And no matter, and I can understand the frustration of local people, where no matter where you put one of these particular facilities, there is going to be concern. And I would say to Senator Power that there will be an opportunity for further public consultation when the matter is referred to on board Penala. And that is the next stage of the process. It's anticipated that there will be insufficient drainage and wastewater treatment facilities in the Dublin region by 2020 if a project is not progressed. And I understand from Fingal County Council that the Greater Dublin Strategic Drainage Study identified 8 different strategic scenarios. Each of these options was subject to detailed technical, social, economic and environmental analysis. And on foot of this, 6 of these scenarios were considered unfeasible. Following a detailed evaluation of the final 2 scenarios, including assessment of the capital and whole-of-life costs, the development of a single regional wastewater treatment plant in North Dublin area with an orbital sewer connecting this to the existing network was deemed to provide the required solution. The strategic environmental assessment of the study concluded that the location of the new regional wastewater treatment plant should be identified following a rigorous alternative site assessment process. In October 2011, Fingal County Council identified 9 potential land parcels in the northern part of the Greater Dublin area, within which a proposed regional wastewater treatment plant could potentially be located along with a marine outfall and an orbital drainage system. These 9 land parcels were then assessed as potential locations in which to site the regional wastewater treatment plant. The routes for the orbital drainage system and the marine outfall pipe locations were also assessed. Site-specific information, more in-depth desktop research and detailed site surveys, as well as feedback from the public, were used to assist in identifying the locations with the least impact on the 15 criteria. Of these 9 land parcels, 3 sites were located at Annesbrook, Clonshaugh and Newtown Corduff. They were identified by the Council as emerging preferred site options. Following further analysis, consultation and consideration of all submissions, Fingal County Council announced on Monday last that Clonshaugh had been identified by their consultants as the preferred site option for the development. The assessment notes that in addition to the many technical and environmental benefits, the estimated overall cost during the lifetime of the project for this preferred site option is over 80 million less than other options studied. A further detailed appraisal of the project to be located at the preferred site will be undertaken by Fingal County Council over the next 6 months, and the local authority will carry out a full economic appraisal as part of this process.
Question, Senator.
Indeed. First, I want to respond to a comment the Minister made. In fact, unlike your Cabinet colleague, Minister Riley, I actually accept that there's a need for increased sewage treatment in North Dublin. We have never, Fianna Fáil, myself, or my colleague Senator O'Brien have never argued that capacity should not be increased. Instead, we've questioned the logic behind having one plant. We've argued instead that it would make much more sense to have a number of small local plants. So we have not taken the NIMBY approach that your colleague took when he issued a statement yesterday saying not good enough for his part of North Dublin, but it's fine for the people of Clonshaugh. It's that kind of small-minded nonsense that you might get from James Riley, but we have not actually taken that approach. But I do have a question. My question is, and Minister, again, you've referred there in your own response to the fact that on the basis of the figures published yesterday, the preferred site option is €80 million less. It's as much as you've said on the costings. I'd like to ask you if you have seen any more than that, if you've seen more than half a page of costings, if you can give the details of what that €80 million is based on, because it's not evident from the report that was published. If you can assure me that it is in line with the government's own cost-benefit criteria, whether it takes into account the broader social costs, if it, apart from just the issues, as I said, the only thing it mentions is pipelines and land, does it take into account the fact that this site is off the N32, that it's just beside the interchange of the M50 and the M1?
You've made your point,
digging
Senator.
up major roads, be huge traffic disruption, economic cost to the area, all sensible things that absolutely must be taken into account and which by your own criteria have to be taken into account. Can you assure me that those things have actually been costed, and that you, as you said, as line minister with responsibility, who's going to be signing the cheque for this and signing off and putting your own imprimatur to it, have seen those details, and that you will ensure that those details are published?
Well, of course, Fianna Fáil could not be against this project because they started the process in 2008. in order to do the detailed analysis that was required, which led to the consultant's decision yesterday.
Fianna Fáil has been arguing since 2006 against having one plant, and we're on the record on that when it was proposed to be for
Senator Power, please. The Minister without obstruction.
I don't think you could express hypocrisy about the matter when you actually started the process in 2008.
You should check your
The Minister
I know
without
that the
obstruction.
Minister for the Environment was a member of a different party, but you're in government with him.
You'll have to check your
This
sources.
is a devolved function for local government, the provision of water and wastewater treatment facilities. The Minister for the Environment does not interfere in that. I cannot be, like, if that's the way it has happened in the past, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen now, where I interfere in relation to the detailed analysis that the consultants carry out in an independent way in site evaluation for any project. There are processes, yes, and you either want the project for the Greater Dublin area or not. I'm interested in investing in water and wastewater facilities for jobs for people in Dublin region in the future. And if we don't plan for projects like these, we will not have the facilities and infrastructure in place for foreign direct investment, for employment for your constituents and for all of the people on the east coast of Ireland. And we have a number of projects in the Department of the Environment that are fast-tracked for the purpose of ensuring that this is going to happen, including a major investment programme that we're doing to upgrade the leak slip wastewater treatment systems to facilitate huge investment projects that are being lined up with the IDA in County Kildare and in West County Dublin. This is part of an overall Dublin regional infrastructural plan. It's never going to be easy no matter where you site these facilities. I accept that fully. But there is an opportunity for yourself, Senator, and to make submissions, and for the people of your area to make further submissions when the formal planning process starts and it goes to Board Grenal.
And
Senator, there's no provision.
I do genuinely think
No
that it's
provision,
extraordinary
Senator,
that
for
£1
any
billion
further questions.
and
Senator
that you're
Maloney.
happy.
Senator Maloney?